Release the divers, and I promise you an easy death. Like I'd believe you, the Baron's mutt. Everyone knows that your boss saws people's arms and legs off. Listen, let the fishermen go and you can clear off back to the swamp. I promise I won't shoot you in the back. Not today. Sure, we'll do that. These stinking fools are our best shot at some loot. The burly thug, covered in aluminum tattoos, looks mean and weary in equal measure. Stop, you idiot. Can't you see we've got a situation here? A short woman in a diving suit without a helmet roughly shoves the bandit aside, coming forward. Shut your trap, newbie. Listen, you're not local, are you? Help us out, eh? I'm Cowby, head of... The disheveled man with a bloody mouth bursts into gurgling laughter. A new audience. Let's see what happens now. Seems like I walked into an active hostage situation. You look different from the local gangers. Are you in charge here? Am I in charge of the carvers? Those loomers? No, thank the God Emperor. The Baron is the one who holds their leash. I lead the divers. The ferals, the thugs from the swamps, are holding a couple of my boys for ransom in the warehouse. You look like you're armed. Maybe you can help us? These men only know how to pump themselves full of Gurgessin. She looks toward the gathered bandits with distaste and also fear. Look, whatever's happening here, it seems like the situation is spiraling. I'm not too keen to get caught up in it, but maybe I can do something to help? You think so? Call me Dire Spike. I'm in charge here right now. Those bloody ferals, Crimson Fang's lot. The bandit nods at the disheveled man with all the animosity he can muster. Got past the guard post and holed themselves up in the hangar. Only there's black sludge and divers in there. Now they're asking for ransom. Usually they just grab someone or rob them and run back to the swamp, but they're getting cocky now. The disheveled bandit grins. What are we supposed to do, eh? We went to that hole in the ground to get our loot, and those vicious bastards was there. They took out 2 of our squads. Man's gotta eat, you know. And now I've got you. Tough luck, what can I say? Okay, maybe I'm missing some nuance here. So these guys just walked in and took a bunch of hostages? And that's just like a normal thing that happens? Yeah, they're scum. The tattooed bandit glances at the disheveled man and swallows the word before it can slip out. These outlaws call themselves ferals. When the water came, the Baron, the boss of us carvers, rose to power and began to restore order. He kicked out the looters and anyone who fought back and took charge of the town. So this lot decided to go live in the swamps outside the border. That's how they got the name, ferals. Sometimes they come in and cause situations. The man with the bloody gums grins nastily in response and smugly adjusts the weapon on his belt. Wow, okay, so no denial, no justification. Can I at least ask what your problem with the divers is? Why go after them? What exactly did they do to deserve this? Crimson Fang fixes his eyes on you. Suddenly, the repulsive, stinking man looks bone-tired. What are we supposed to do? We went to the hole in the ground and the swamp mutants was there. Bad enough when your crazy Baron sicked those freaks on us. The bastards nearly ate the whole lot of us. We're not stupid enough to mess with them. But fishermen are easy picking. He cuts himself off and his gaze turns hateful. You know what? You can ram your questions down the fish's throat. I got nothing to say to any mud of the Barons. Okay, well, I mean, I'll give you points for honesty. You went after them because they were easy targets, and... What exactly are you hoping to get out of this? The unkempt bandit spits red on the ground. Booze. Lots of booze. My boys are bored without it. If you bring some, maybe we won't kill them all. I've got to say, Fang, that doesn't really sound like a compelling deal. I bring you booze and you maybe don't kill all the hostages? All right, Fang, I'll tell you what. I think I've got a pretty clear picture of what's going on here. Just hang tight and I'll make sure you get what you deserve. The bandit leader nods to you, then turns to Crimson Fang. Wait here, Fang. We're going to settle this. It'll take too long in there, all right? My boys are twitchy buggers. Okay, so what's your plan? Well, they're asking for alcohol, so that's an easy in. At the very least, it'll get us close. A peony's lips curve as she looks at the dour building. I suggest we use Lord Commander Cherzo's tactics. During an assault on a fortress of heretics, he bribed smugglers to deliver a shipment of provisions, laced with paralytic poisons. We could likewise find some effective toxin and add it to the drink. You see Calby tense at these words. Speaking quietly so that Dire Spike does not overhear, she says, If you get the drink, I'll handle the rest. Well, you know, normally I'd try to talk this out, but it seems like these guys are pretty unrepentant, so I've got some booze right here. Some good news, at least. Calby, I believe you had something you wanted to toss into the mix? You move away from the bandit, who watches you with deep disapproval, but decides not to interfere. The diver leans in close enough that you can smell her foul breath. You mentioned poison. The Loomers don't need to know, but me and the boys brew some here. For personal use, you might say. With a conspiratorial nod, Calby shows you an injector filled with a repulsive green sludge. Oh, okay, so she just doesn't want the local gangers to know they're brewing poison. Yeah, that makes more sense. I was curious as to why Dire Spike might otherwise object. Yeah, that looks like it'll do it. Hand it over. You insert the injector needle into the cork and add the toxin to the drink. There is still quite a lot of poison left in the vial. Calby nods at you, permitting you to keep the rest. Brewed from the local waters, yeah, that's somewhat telling. All right, Fang. I think we've come to an agreement here. You picked your poison, so we're ready to oblige. The unkempt bandit snatches the bottle from your hands and immediately sucks on it, guzzling greedily. He leaves disgusting red stains on the bottle's neck and passes the drink to the others. Bloody throne, it worked! Good stuff. Get some more or we'll kill your boggle-eyed friends. I mean, I feel like that wasn't the deal, but I'll tell you what. Let me just make sure the hostages are all right, and then we'll see what we can do. There's plenty more where that came from. Well, you brought the booze. You can't be all bad. Fine. One person can go. Either you go or you pick someone else. Cog, you're our biggest number cruncher, right? Why don't you head on inside? Get ready to take a body count. Look out, lads! Negotiators coming our way. Well, did you get a good... The scarred and dirt-encrusted bandit struggles to move his tongue. Suddenly, he vomits straight on the floor. What was in that drink? Lads, we've been poisoned. Smoke 'em! Alright, alright. Well, I was kind of hoping that would just kill some of you outright, but... I'll take it. Poison DOTs across the board, plus Cog in an advantageous position. Looks like we do have a couple of folks who escaped the DOT. The peony up first. We'll get her on the flank, lay down some fire. Aside from just lighting people on fire, I believe one of her talents also applies an additional debuff on any enemy hit. After that, it's Lanthier, but then we've got a whole bunch of them going before the rest of our crew. Yeah, we'll make do. Happy up first. Can you... Not really a lot of options here. Can you, No, you cannot buff yourself. Not yet. There's a talent she can get, but she doesn't have it just yet. Alright, we'll keep it simple. Shockwave blast down the line. Actually, no real reason to even come out of cover. Yeah, at best we would have caught like one extra target. And this way she doesn't immediately get shot to pieces. Nice, nice. Yeah, I'll take that too. Cog taking a bit of a beating, but he's holding up pretty decently thus far. Lanthier. Let's bring him around on the right. Hug cover. See if we can trim this guy on the edge. He has a special ability with precision strikes, but we're so low level right now, we can't really land those very reliably. Yeah, okay. Should have just stuck with the basics. We're not advanced enough for the fancy pants stuff. Cog's armor out. Hey, there we go. First kill goes to Lan. Seymore. Alright, let's bust out the big guns. This will leave him exposed, but hopefully he'll do enough damage to make it worth it. We'll go for double shot, run and gun, which is essentially just attacking twice. Okay, I mean, not gonna lie, I really kind of figured that would at least ding up Fang's cover, but I guess not. Fair enough. Cog, let's get that armor back up. Thankfully, in Cog's case, he has a talent that also inflicts damage when he uses Endure. So he can still do some offense along with his defense. With enough left over for a quick smash. Oop, I don't like that. But that does give us a good example of the focus system. Fang is using an AoE, which takes a couple of ticks to trigger. So we have a very narrow window to react. Thankfully, in this case, timing is in our favor. Both our guides in the AoE can simply move away. Nice, nice. Sara's got some other fancy moves too, but in my brief test, I really kind of found I didn't much care for them. Since, you know, Psychers are already inherently unreliable, sanctioned or otherwise. So I kind of found myself leaning into his basics as opposed to trying to really push my luck. That was a demoralization move. You'll notice the red counters or blue counters on our guys just below their health bar. That tracks their running morale. That can go up to 10 or as low as -10, and various special moves and modifiers will scale off of it. But most notably, if it goes all the way down to -10, a target becomes broken and ceases to fight. In the case of Acolyte, he's a mediocre marksman at best, but he is good for other things. Squad support and demoralization among them. Grenade goes off, hits nothing but cover. Epi lays down more fire. Last gate guard out, just leaves Fang. Plus the two gunners up top. And of course the guys inside. Oof. Armor's out, but it did its job. Let's wrap this up. Hey, there we go. Actually landed at that time. Oh, wow. Also, not only broke his leg, but also his spirit. Wonder if that means we'll take him alive. Though, probably not. Dude's stacked with DOTs. Crash the gate. And can you actually get a shot off without... Oh, hey, there we go. Lovely. And with that, the last of the enemies are shattered. Saves us a little time. So do we actually take Fang alive? No, very much no. Man instantly killed over. Fair enough. Obviously, this is just an alpha, so I'm not really sure if that's how it'll work in the final launch. But I would love if taking key enemies alive actually did play into the narrative. Though really, just having the extra layer of morale mechanics in general does add a welcome extra layer to the combat. Also got some stuff here we might actually be able to use. More notable items marked with the rarity icons up in the top left. So they naturally draw the eye. Yeah, like this armor on bottom right, I assume, pulled off of Fang himself. Curiously designed for Oghren, which he definitely was not. That does feel slightly out of place, but I guess I won't question it too much. Honestly, at this stage of the game, we're so under-equipped that pretty much anything we get here is likely to be an upgrade. Even the common stuff. Rope, an actual utility item. Stinking black liquid sloshes around inside the barrels. Strange. It's unlikely that waste would be stored with such care. Let's get a gander at that gear real quick. See if we got anything worth slotting. Oh, yep, there we go. Slight upgrade on the shoddy. Though nothing else here is jumping out at me. Let's check the armor. Oh, that's actually a step down. That's a bummer. It's fine. We can still use it as sales fodder. How about the rest? Oh, yep. Here we go. That is a significant step up. We only have one other character with a melee attack, so we'll toss the Fang's armor to Seymore. We didn't end up using it, but he does have this knife. And I think that's it. Yeah, we got a couple of things there we can use. Alright, let's cut these guys loose, see what comes next. Thank the God Emperor and Saint Sibelius! We're alive! The bandit with aluminum tattoos stands loose-limbed and relaxed, as if he were the one who had just killed all the ferals. Get a load of you! You'd never know your shirt was clean. That worked a treat, so the Baron won't be chopping off any of my limbs today. You did well. You pleased our boss. When he gets upset, people start disappearing, you know? Anyway, here you go. I owe you one. Thanks. What was that you said about your boss making people disappear? Because that's... You know what? Never mind. I'll just poke around a bit on my own. I do have to ask, though, what's with the barrels full of sludge in the fort over yonder? What's that stuff actually used for? Raw material from the sea bottom. The divers bring it to shore, and the Baron makes Gurgessin out of it. Valuable stuff. Ah, I see. So that's the source of our mysterious Gurgessin. Well, hey, I'm glad I could help. I'll leave you to it. Interesting. Interesting. Let's get another gander at that armor real quick. The Unbreakable. Someone has attached thin ceramite plates to the inside of this otherwise unremarkable armor. How such a material found its way to the lower levels of the hive is a mystery. Double strength bonus on melee. Penalizes enemy defense. Scaling off agility, which would make it ideal, I think, for a peony. I mean, she won't get much out of that melee bonus, but she does technically, I think, have a scalpel attack. It's like one of her special abilities. Might shuffle that around later, though. So how do we resume tracking? The Baron sent his thugs again. The sludge has rotted their brains. Eyes empty, hands shaking. Ugh. Yeah, that stuff does seem like it's bad news. Thank you. If I could have children, I'd name them after you. Thanks? Swashbuckler's Cloak. The wearer's precise attacks gain half defense % hit chance. Wayseeker only, so that makes it pretty obvious who it's going to. Here you go, bud. Don't say I never got nothing for you. Also a dead bandit, but nothing we can do with them. Alright, let's, oh, hello there. Heretical Shrine. The sea did not spare the makeshift statue of Saint Sibelius, but his features are still visible under a layer of silt and shells. Oh, okay, so not actually heretical. Crates containing half-faded seals of the Astra Militarum. The Aquila has been ravaged by rust, but remains intact. I mean, honestly, probably just more salvage, but let's chat up Calby. An aged woman with a small, weather-beaten face is polishing the helmet of a diving suit. When you approach, she stops and raises her weary eyes to meet yours. Thanks for my boys, by the way. The Baron's oafs would never have pulled anyone out. Calby spits out a glob of black saliva with gusto. What is it you want? Well, first of all, you're very welcome, but, second, I was just thinking some proper introductions were in order. I'm Echo Light. The locals call me Calby. I lead the divers in this hab zone. I take them down to the very bottom and retrieve what the Baron really likes. With this pretty mouth here. Calby points to her blackened lips and gives a playful wink. Her eyes, however, remain cold as ice. Local leader. Well, that's just what I need. Maybe you can help me find a man I was sent to find. A fellow by the name of Rufinus Scragg, not a local. Facial burns, augmented leg. Might have some tattoos. Sound like anyone you've seen? Calby pensively chews on her black lip for a while. I do remember one shore rat, always hovering about, was very interested in learning about us and about the Baron's Gurgessin. He even suggested my boys gorge on that junk and take a walk on the seabed. But we don't take Gurgessin, only real sludge. It opens your eyes a little wider, but Gurgessin stops them from closing at all. Understand? Not really, but I'll certainly make note. How about those crates? I mean, I'm assuming just standard salvage? It is a bit unusual, though, to see Astra Militarum containers in a civilian settlement. The woman cranes her neck as if trying to peer into the warehouse from here. You can see 3 thin scars on her dirty neck. What crates? Ah, we found them in the sea. People throw a lot of nice stuff into the water, and we put it to good use. We keep our suits and hoses in these lockers. Everything we need for diving, basically. Yeah, that tracks. It did mention they were worn and rusted. The uninquisitorial expedition would have presumably had much newer equipment. How about that shrine? Is that Saint Sibelius? Looks kind of weird. You know, some folks might suggest that that's might bit heretical. The diver's eyes widen. She slowly shifts her gaze to the strange statue and starts guffawing with delight. Heretical? Oh, God, Emperor, have mercy. What? Didn't you recognize the saint? Who's the idolater here, then, eh? That's Sibelius, the Infallible. The sea roughed him up a bit, of course, but we're no strangers to that, so we dredged him up from the bottom, stood him up, and now we honor him, just like Rotten Fish instructed. Rotten Fish, that is quite a name. Though yes, I actually did forget that this sector flooded not too long ago, so I guess that actually really does help explain that as well. Alright, well, you've certainly allayed all my concerns. Anything else you can tell me about Merisportis? The diver looks at you with poorly concealed irritation and well-disguised fear. Finally, she shrugs. We haven't got much, you know, but something remains still. One could say you've arrived just in time to witness the last gasps of Merisportum. What do you want to know? Right, because if you come here second, a lot of these events have already played out with the worst possible results. Which is interesting. It definitely promotes replayability. I appreciate that. It's actually part of why I'm so comfortable, you know, exploring the early access as I am, because I know I'll be encountering different things when I replay at full launch. You can't make stew if you don't know any fishing spots. I'll tell you, that's no skin off my nose. This is our home. This is where we prepare to dive to the bottom of this rotten world. And there's a town around us. Our town. Not the upper town, of course, but it still beats living in the swamps. You mind if I ask about the locals, the divers? Ask away. We're quiet people. We have nothing to hide. Well, you mentioned fishing, but it sounds like you're all divers now. Is that a recent change? The seemingly innocent question causes Cowby to grow sullen. Before the flood, we used to fish and grow seaweed. Then fab manufacturers would grind them into rations and send them through the gateway to the upper hivers. And in return, they would send us food and medicine. Those were good times. And now, well, we dive. She mimes the act by puffing out her cheeks and pinching her nose, but there is no trace of real joy on her face. This work is important. Without us, the Baron would be left without his precious Gurgessin, and we would be left without his guns and his grub. Cowby chuckles, cocking back her head. You notice the scaly patches covering her chest and neck. Noticing your stare, she immediately stops laughing and glumly tucks her chin into her chest. Oh, interesting. Scaly skin. I assumed the scars on her neck were signs of like a former punishment or something, but no, now it seems like they might be gills. So yeah, we really are going full Lovecraft here. Especially when you add in the mysterious nightmares. Hey, what can you tell me about this Gurgessin stuff? I've heard it mentioned a couple of times, but no one's actually told me exactly what it is. They just keep me Gurgessin. Here's how it is. The Baron distills his poison from the raw stuff that comes straight from the bottom of the sea, from tiny little wells darker than a Grox's arse. These smokers only appear deep, deep down, and so we dive down to them. We attach hoses and pump the stuff into cylinders, except the pumps break constantly, and we often have to use our mouths to get the flow going, or that shit won't go the right way. Calby suddenly opens her mouth wide, revealing a completely black tongue. You see that her entire throat is covered with an oily, shiny film. Delighted with the impression she's made, Calby shuts her mouth and starts cackling. This job's not for everyone. People drown, get poisoned, die. But you never go without. Everyone needs you. Right. So I take it you obviously dived too? I'm cleaning my suit right now, in case you haven't noticed. I can't be waiting about the bottom all the time. Once I'm done with this, I'm heading to see the Baron again. You might have dealt with the pharaohs, but my people say they've seen those beak faces on the shore again. May the sea take them. The woman spits, leaving a viscous black streak on the ground. They came all the way from their distant shores, and now they're throwing their weight around. If you're here because of them, you should go see the Baron as well. He somehow managed to put them in their place the last time. Right, because Kroot are known to work as mercenaries from time to time. In fact, that's what Rufinus Scragg was trying to get them to do. So it would make sense if the Baron had brokered a deal with them, likely to focus on the ferals instead of the townsfolk. Red Fang implied as much. How long have you lived here, just out of curiosity? We've been here since Marisportum was founded. My ancestors first fished here, then built boats, and then invented diving suits. We've survived a lot, but these floods, I doubt we'll be surviving them. We used to give our dead to the sea, and now it's come for us. Seems we failed to appease it. Well, let's hope not. But I guess we'll see. Can't ask her about the burial ritual. That really feels like something we should be able to bring up. So what are your thoughts on this Confessor Ursimus guy? Calby looks at you askance and reluctantly makes the sign of the Aquila. At first, Ursimus himself was nothing special. Just a run-of-the-mill sanctimonious preacher. He talked a lot about Sibelius, and then he went through the gateway and didn't come back for a long time. They say he went all the way to the Salenza Sectoris, the one that was burned for its people's wickedness. I don't know what happened to him there, but he came back, injured all over. Interesting. Okay. Real shades of Hieronymus Stellaroso there. Since then, all he talks about is suffering. He gathered other oddballs around him and called them the Flock of Repentance. They're not too bad. They keep their hands to themselves, and I'm grateful for that. But the ones who listen to Ursimus's new words, you see, he speaks as smooth as you like, and what he says sounds quite true. We all must suffer to purify our souls, he says. But our simpletons think that if you flay your hands and throw your neighbor in an acid vat, the God Emperor will immediately forgive you. Classic false prophet archetype. And the worst thing is that more and more people are listening to Ursimus. It looks like our time is running out, and people have started thinking about their souls. What if the God Emperor will forgive them? So they rush to the flock. The ranks of penitents swell with every passing day. It can't lead to anything good. Yeah. But, I mean, what are your alternatives? This Baron? What are your thoughts on him? The same way I think of a knife in my leg. While it's in there, I'll be in a lot of pain and discomfort. But if I take it out, I'll bleed to death. After the sea quake, the Baron and his carvers took power and have been keeping the locals in line, mostly. Anyone who doesn't like it doesn't live long. They disappear without a trace. And if anyone thinks of rebelling or mistreating the Baron's folk, he's quick to show what happens to such loudmouths. Usually in the square, he takes the person who upset him, grabs a large saw, and cuts off their hands and feet. They say he always takes the head so he can keep track of the names and numbers put under his knife. Well, that sounds like just the sort of evidence we'd want to find to prove he was involved in certain disappearances. The Baron's men are called the Carvers, so who are the Loomers? Oh, they're also the Carvers, the Baron's minions. They paint their bodies with luminous paint so that everyone knows who they belong to. If it weren't for the Baron, may the sea take him, they would be common thugs. But he brought them together and keeps them under his thumb. He got them hooked on Gurgessin, so now they'll do anything for another dose, and listen to him like he's their own father. They're all twitchy, though. Either from the Gurgessin or from not sleeping for weeks after taking it. But at least they don't suffer from nightmares like the rest of us. What about these beak faces? How do they fit in? Cowby gazes wistfully toward the sea, then clears her throat loudly through her nose. A bunch of freaks that showed up after the sea quake. Must have come out of the distant pipes. Hideous things with beaks instead of mouths. They swooped in, killed some of our folk, and even ate someone if the rumors are to be believed. I think they must be starving to death since they came from the swamps. The ferals don't turn their noses up at human flesh when they're really hungry either. The Baron kicked the beak faces in the arse and sent them packing. Except he started being friendly with them later. Damn him. Right, which does basically confirm he's brokered a deal with them. Almost certainly involving the ferals. Okay, I think I've heard enough. Thank you, Cowby. This has been very useful. What, you don't want to know anything else about Marisportum? Thank the God Emperor for that. No, I think we're good for now, thanks. So long, Shore Rat. If you want anything else, come back and we'll prattle some more. Well, I will certainly hold you to that. It is entirely possible I might find other things I have to come back and ask about. So how do we continue tracking? Like, the track stopped here, and now they're just completely gone. Also, we do still have the Sergeant's Fox signal, but it stops dead if we go into the actual camp here. I mean, I guess you could argue that all the routine traffic and then the combat as well obliterated any tracks that might have existed here, but then it begs the question of where we're supposed to go. Like, I guess just continue poking around. We do still have that corpse just over yonder. That could still be our sergeant. The mechanism is thrumming with effort, but it is doggedly pumping air somewhere deep below. Judging by the rust and dirt covering the bottom of the boats, they are frequently used. The black coating on the inside seems to have been left by the catch. I'm not handing it over. I found it first. I asked nicely, you piece of grok shit. Now I'm not going to be nice anymore. Where'd you come from? Forget the jacket. I was never here. Oh, well, I'm glad I watched that play out. Also, there's our exit to the swamp, so good to know. And we've got a Fusilier jacket. The uniform armor of a regiment of the Scintillan Fusiliers bearing a sergeant's insignia. And given that it's right next to the exit to the swamp, that might imply that that's where we'll find him. Yeah, I guess that's fair. All roads do seem to be pointing us that way. Though we've still got a few other things we can check out while we're here, like that corpse over yonder. plus some other potential leads. Let's see what we've got back here. Oh, okay, that's, right, that's where we met, Cog. Interesting. So we just created a shortcut. And then we also had a... Yeah, we had an area on the rooftop here we can also climb to. Though, let's hold off on that for the moment. We're pushing the hour mark, so we should probably wrap this up. Let's scope out the corpse, and then we'll call it. A body riddled with holes from primitive kinetic weapons. Interesting. No actual examination marker, but we can still click on it. Quick start. Whenever the wearer uses the charge ability, it costs 1 AP less. I mean, that sounds pretty great to me. Weird to find Ogren-sized boots in a random boat, but I won't question it. Here you go, bud. And there's definitely something going on with these bodies, but how about you? In the name of his all-encompassing forgiveness, I reverently inflict gaping wounds. Let them be filled with pain. In the name of repentance unending, I will rend my flesh and the flesh of those who are blind and deaf. Behold my shame and my guilt. Enduring and persevering, striving to wash away your transgressions, I cast you into an abyss of misery. Neat. Not sure why that needed to be a cutscene, but thanks. That is, really gross and not helpful. Thank you. Alright, well, let's fall back a bit. Oh, you know what? Let's check that spot where we last had a signal. Because it stops dead right here. Like, tracks you could say were obliterated by all the combat, but why are we only getting a Vox signal here? Oh, we have new... Oh, okay. Well, hold on. We've got a new ping. A woman with angular facial features. Her eyes have been generously shaded with ink. Either the artist has overdone it, or the missing woman has not slept a day in her life. Okay, so that's obviously our guy there. Several faces sketched in ink, one on top of the other. Eyes, mouths, and noses overlap to create the image of a monster. Saint Sibelius sent me a heavy shift so that by my work I may glorify him. Uh-huh. What you want? I got not a nothing on me. The man standing before you looks terrible, even by the standard of his surroundings. His right arm is withered and dangles limply at his side, and his mouth boasts an impressive 2 remaining teeth. A repulsive odor hangs around him like a cloud, hitting you from 3 paces away. His foul appearance only serves to make his accessories even more striking. A brand new Vox with gilded corners hangs on his chest, while an Astra Militarum cap sits on his head. Oh, don't mind me, I'm just admiring your very fine hat. I'd love to get one for myself. The beggar clutches his hat. My whole wife made it for me from scratch. Loves the bones of me, she does. Cog growls impatiently. The ragman's lying. That's Sergeant Ollie's hat. He was always wearing it. How about that thing on your chest? What's that? The vagrant looks down with a wet crunch and then jerkily raises his gaze to you. This here's a full-blown relic. Been in the whole family ages. We've treasured it long through tough times. Cog squints in disbelief. That's no relic. That's a Vox. The Fusiliers had one. Alright, look, buddy. My friend here is starting to get a bit ornery. Those things belong to his friend. They're all mine. Only mine. I didn't steal them. Oh, my mistake. So you're telling me that you must be a sergeant of the Imperial Guard, since those are items that would only legally be in the possession of such a person? Like the wounded one I'm currently looking for. I mean, I don't think you're him, but you do seem to have his stuff. Legally? No, I'm no criminal. I'm clean, honest. I traded Inktooth for them at the marketplace. Cost me a whole injector of Gurgessin. Inktooth. Marketplace. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. Well, obviously I can't let you hold on to those since it would be illegal, but how about I compensate you for them? I've got a med kit right here. Cog frowns as you hold out the Medicaid kit to the vagrant. Sergeant Ollie said, "Don't waste good on people who'll dies tomorrow." We'll get it back tomorrow, right? Well, you know what, Cog, who's to say? If this guy's dead tomorrow, then sure. We'll take it back. The vagrant looks at the Medicaid kit with doubt, then abruptly tears off his Vox and cap. Before you know it, the items are in your hands, and the man is already running off with his prize. Okay. Progress, of a sort. A man with sunken cheeks and sharp cheekbones, his taut, thin mouth twists as if in pain. Let's get a gander at this new hat. I note we did not get an item for the Vox, so all getting that did was disable the tracker. Fusilier hat's pretty straightforward. Straight +5 fellowship. Fusilier jacket's not bad either. Well, Cog, it looks like I'm your sergeant now. Honestly, all signs at this point do seem to kind of imply that he was likely dumped in the swamp. Eaten by the local beak faces, perhaps. I mean, we found all his stuff. We found his jacket, we found his hat. We found his transponder, his Vox. So, I mean, I'm not even sure how else we'd identify him at this point. Though, obviously, we'll keep poking around a bit. I mean, I guess technically Cog might still recognize him. Even sans his other assorted belongings. As for the tracks, I'm not really sure what we're supposed to do now, because the tracks do seem to have just more or less completely vanished, aside from this one, which those are our tracks. Those are the ones that go back to where we came in. Yeah, I mean, that definitely doesn't help us. So, I guess we'll just keep poking around. We'll hit the pause button for now. I'm going to go ahead and canvass the area at least a little more, see if I can get an idea of where we're headed. But, you know, failing that, we'll track down the marketplace, find this Inktooth, scope out the bridge or the rooftop over yonder, or just head out into the swamp. We'll figure something out. See you then. Oh, and special thanks to the Raiders, the fine folks who help make these videos possible, including but not limited to RobbyB23, Revenant, Alois, Bowman, Drakiith, EgonAlter, Exsellsior, Gottlieb, Trimmier, Lady Shayna, Mark Giemza, RandomPassrby, RobbyB, Triphoppenskip, and Valinrook. Thanks for your support, guys. That said, if you'd also like to help support the channel, then feel free to push the buttons that do the things. Trust me, it does make a difference. Or you could even check out the PayPal, the Patreon, the Nexus GG, or the YouTube memberships. Links are in the description.